Okay folks, how you doing? I'm starting a second Kylo Ren Black Series helmet modification to make it screen accurate enough for clearance for the 501st. I've already begun the project and I've already taken away these components. If you've seen lots of other videos, you know that it's all junk basically. So just take out the voice changer, which is terrible, and yeah, it's just a question of just removing all the screws and just popping out the components. Very simple. So this is all stuff you can just cast aside. It's just rubbish. The only thing really you should keep is the screws. Just keep a hold of those, keep them safe. For this time around, and I've done one before, I'll show you in another video maybe. So this time around, obviously you keep the metal faceplate. What we're going to end up by doing is, I don't know whether you can see that very well, but I'm going to fill in these three lines here. The holes in the sides here will be filled with basically tights just from the back. You just stretch some tights over there and there, just in a little sort of angle, and there you go, you can see the holes there. Anyway, I'll come back to this bit. This I might actually use this time around. On my other helmet, I didn't bother using it. I just stretched some tights over this component, and then just cut off these edgy bits here. It doesn't look too bad, but you know, sort of perfectionists, you know, they would notice. But so just lop those edgy bits off here, and then I stretch some tights over there. And obviously you need the front plate, battery cover, and obviously the back. It all goes together. It will, you know, I found that it never met up quite well. Doing this one-handed is no good. It never really met up well here on my previous helmet. It sort of dipped down a bit, so I ended up by having to use some filler that and you can always see this little line, so that's why I'm doing another one as well. This bit didn't end up by being too bad on the other helmet. I'll see if I can get it pretty good. You end up by having to sand down the entire helmet with a good deal of sandpaper to get this kind of strange texture away, ready for priming, sort of priming, spraying, bit of resin. I didn't use that in the last helmet. I think that's probably what counted against me. So I'm going to use resin and then rub it down a bit more and then prime it again and then go over it. Just keep going over it until you're happy with your overall finish. And then later on in another video we'll do this in little steps. So that's what I got for now, and we'll see what happens. Catch you in a bit. There you go, so plastic welded on the inside. It's hard work, but worth it. Once again, I've left the filler in play for a couple of days and let it set. Yeah, I'm not entirely happy with this, but like the last one I did, it took a good few goes of filling it, rubbing it down, filling it, rubbing it down. So as you can see, I've got a lot of sanding to do here, and I imagine if you're going to do one, it will be the same. So as you can see, I've purposely left these recesses sort of part filled, because this stuff effectively shrinks as soon as it starts to dry. Just to reiterate on the inside, I don't know if you can see that well. Basically that's just a cut up credit card stuck in with some heavy duty tape. Right, so here we go. I'll do another quick vid as soon as I'm done sanding and I'm looking happy. This is after probably a good hour, maybe two. I'm not sure, I haven't really checked the time. Sort of 80 grit sanding. I eventually wetted the sandpaper down and carried on going over the entire helmet. I know full well this is like a first fill phase, because when I was plastic soldering or plastic welding the helmet together, it didn't quite line up as nicely as I wanted it to. So as you can see here, I've still got the button holes to do, and probably a little bit more work on the former battery compartment. Although you can see there's a clear line there, it should get disguised when it gets to further sanding and the first sort of prime phase. So we'll see how it goes. A good day after doing a second fill. So you can see what I've done there. I use that rough line because that line is where the original helmet, the one that he used in the movie, has some sort of very subtle detailing there. So the second feels not too bad. I guess the sanding job will reveal any more imperfections. You can keep going and going and going at it. Sorry about the focus, it's a bit dark in here and light outside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sand it down again, get it nice and smooth, go over the helmet, keep going over the helmet each time, and then continue working on these sort of former buttonholes. Anyway, I'll talk to you guys in a bit. Okay, here we are, a few days later, and it's just been mainly sanding, filling, sanding and filling. If I can get this in focus, you kind of get an idea of what we're talking about here. The idea of the game is to fill and blend that line as best as humanly possible. I'm going to try and get it back in focus. I'm only filming on a little iPhone, so it's not the best. As you can see there, you can see there's a very slight line where the buttonhole used to be. So, gone over this, over the battery compartment. I'm actually very pleased with this. Basically, the reason why you do it is to well, obviously one, hide the lines, hide the compartments, and just keep going over it, because when you apply primer or paint, it really shows the lines, threatening to show you a previous one I did. Also today I ordered the Disney faceplate, as in the Disney mask, So I'm going to do the removal of this. I was going to mod it, but I decided to go the whole hog, and if I end up by ruining it, well, I've learned something. But that's pretty much the name of the game. So 80 grit sandpaper, just over and over and over again, and yeah, this is what you end up with. So it's still not perfect. I'm gonna probably fill some more just here, just to keep it a little bit more level, keep building it up, keep building this line up, and I'll see you in the next mini installment. Here we go. I have no idea what part we are on, but this is the helmet after multiple fills, multiple rub downs, and literally a dust over prime. So dusted over it with some plastic primer, which you can just pick up from any proper job, and just sort of basically doing that, it really teases out if you need to do any more filling or any more sanding. And sorry for the pause, but I don't know whether you can see that, but there's my cat trying to get over the fence. There you go, a highlight. So I'll just put this up here. Hello Ninja. It's my cat Ninja. He likes to get in on the action. So, as you can see, it's not looking too bad. What I've done then is I've gone over with a Dremel over these parts just to re-emphasize the lines, just over here, nice and easy. And as I'm going to be doing the Disney Faceplate mod, what I've done is I've Dremeled the inside here. Basically it's like an attaching block. I Dremeled that away, and there was a screw hole there, Dremeled that away, and then just to give it a bit more reinforcement, I've used the soldering iron, and I've done the sort of the joining again, just to keep it nice and strong, because when you're putting the helmet on, you'll find that the original join point is the weak area. I'm waiting for the Disney faceplate to come through from Amazon. As you can see, that's the sort of finish you're looking for at this stage. I could screw it up later on. There's plenty of opportunities for me to screw it up. I'm gonna have to Dremel this section out here completely. I'm going to go for the full faceplate conversion, not just, because you can just remove this section here. I won't be doing that. Anyway, next time. The Amazon man has arrived and delivered this, which will be completely destroyed by the end of the day. It's been a little while since I've done an update, and I've moved my progress on quite a bit. So the last mini snippet I showed you the Disney face mask in its box. This is all that's left of the Disney face mask. So let me just show you what I did. I took the face mask, I took it to bits, and effectively I'm left with these 4 components. Okay, I'll try and get a better angle. So what we have here is, this is going to be the jawline, okay, which houses the rather holds the other components. Now there are some very tricky ones here. I did watch a number of videos on YouTube, as you can probably imagine. It's been done a million times before, but this is the first time of doing it for myself. So I'll just zoom back out. Terrible videographer. Right, so the first component, this comes off the mask. The second component here this adjoins to this former piece here. Okay, and this basically builds up all the layers that you would expect to see on a good conversion. This second piece here connects to what's known as the filigree. I hope I'm saying that right, which is this thing. And this bit is going to be, well, very tricky to say the least. These two components come off very easily. They literally just slide out of this. They just connect into these holes. So taking them off and readjusting them is easy. The difficult bit is marrying this first piece here with the filigree, because it doesn't line up and it doesn't meet with the top here. It's sort of see my thumb there, about a thumb's width, and it doesn't meet each end. So I'm going to have to get a bit creative with trying to make it fit, use filler, use a bit of grinding, and a shitload of patience. So that's what happened to the Disney mask. Literally want it just for these 4 components, and that's it. I'm going to put all the links to the respective YouTube videos, which you've probably already seen, and the prop forum where they've got some very good guides on how to mod a Kylo mask and get it as screen accurate as you can. But you never know, I could screw this all up and end up by just using these pits on an existing Black series that I've got, so we shall see. It's the day after yesterday, so if you can work out what that means, I'm just going to tell you this. See this piece here? This piece is a son of a bitch. This is what I'm going to refer to as piece 1, because there are 4 layers to the mask, and it is an absolute bitch. Not to mention that my my Dremel over there has now packed up, so dealing with this has suddenly become a lot more interesting until I can raise some money to go to the hardware store. So I don't know whether this is going to focus very well. Come on, you can see it's got different thicknesses. So I've been literally, and in a funny way it might actually work better, I've been rubbing this down on a piece of sandpaper, sort of flat against the table here, to try and flatten it out, because you'll see the filigree here has some rather interesting edges, so you've got to try and get it to match up. It's not gonna meet the nose very well at all. You have to get creative with that, but this piece alone is going to take hours and hours, so I'm going to spare you that pain, and hopefully next time I do a little mini video it will be a little further along than where I am now. Can't stress how difficult it is to get this piece correct using a file, just trying to get the edges to sort of marry up with the filigree, and boy is it hard work. It's a very, very manual process. Test fitting. I also did a little bit of heat gun work on it, where I simply heated up this section here and then this section here, and then just pressed it down just to widen it out a bit, because the angle of the filigree is a little bit wider than the Disney Store mask. It's very, very close. I'm actually considering calling it, because it marries up almost perfectly. Okay, I'm not holding it very well, but I'll try and show you here how that looks. Yes, you're going to be left with a gap there across the nose, and it comes a little bit short here, and obviously on the other side. So what you do, you just take back the inner ridge just a little bit, and it kind of looks okay. I'll do a little bit more detailing when I get it together a little bit more. So it's getting there, but this bit I would say is probably the most difficult part of this process, and that is simply managing this initial piece to the filigree, and then it's going to be a question of gluing. So simply grind it down with a file, use a Dremel. I got a replacement today which works, and 18 quid back, which is not too bad. Heat gun and patience. So just take it one step at a time. That didn't work so well. Basically what I've done is the little gasket that I cut from the Black series. It's easy for me to say. Basically, as you can see here, I just left a little bit there just to make up the gap on the top of the nose area. So, and this is going to be difficult to do one-handed. Just place this back on. Just place it in place for now. You can see that it sort of marries up here. I use the heat gun just to push in this area here, because this area has got some funny curvature going on. This side's much more flat. If I take this away from the filigree, you can see where I ground out some of the holes here just to make them a little bit more screen accurate. A bit more work to do, as you can see there. I've ground this down and married it up, put in my little gasket here, applied a heat gun to marry this first piece to the filigree, and used glue, and now, as you can see, it's one unit. I was a bit of a douche and I applied some filler to the holes here just to give it a base layer, and I didn't think about masking it off, so I've accidentally wiped away some of the black, but that's not too much of a problem. Here comes the fun part, where you take this second piece from the Disney mask, and you can simply, not with one hand, oh yeah you can just place it on just for a quick test fit, and you can then see just how well that sits together. So very pleased with these initial stages. Looking pretty good. Let's just get in there real close. A little bit of overhang is what you want, and good fun. Here's an initial test dry fit with all the pieces assembled. It's not too bad. I had to go at the flaring on the sides here. It didn't work out as quite as I expected, but it's not a disaster zone at the same time. So yeah, not too bad. Lots more to do, as you can see. Look, put a pre-fill on the speaker holes. This has been grafted to the filigree. There's a little gasket just by the nose piece. This butts up quite nicely actually when you apply these two front plates to the back plate. Some of the videos I've seen, it doesn't really explain how you attach this, but I think I've got it figured out. You've got this this piece here which should sort of marry. It's probably going to be a little piece of work to do around here just to sort of make this a little bit more circular to meet with the edge here. So I'm probably just going to grind that away, just make it look a little bit more natural. This is the Disney faceplate, sort of first supporting level. I'm not sure what you would call it. but this is it grafted in and plastic welded, and if you can see that, it's filled as well. So what I did is I took some additional plastics, melted them in, and then when it all sort of cured, if you like, I added some of the sort of car filler that I've been using to fill other parts of the helmet. You will find that when you start messing around with heat, that any work that you've previously done starts to undo itself rather quickly. It happened when I started flaring the sides of the mask slightly, but that's just nature of the beast. I'll keep you guys posted. I'm probably going to dust it over with another bit of undercoat, just so you can see the problem areas that you need to attack with perhaps sandpaper or even the Dremel. So it's another day on, and I've filled this section in just a bit more. Just basically doing this and showing you the same stuff over and over again, because it just gives you an idea of the sort of commitment you need to put into it. I mean, and I still don't know if this is going to look any good or not, so the jury's still out on that one. But this quick little update is just to show where the Disney first stage is applied to the Black Series mask. Any gaps, fill them in, sand them down, fill them in again, sand them down. You want to get it as smooth as you can all over. And also I'm repairing the heat damaged areas that I did when I attempted flaring down here. This side doesn't look quite as flared as this side, but that's something I hope to fix. Ignore the tape. I've put that there to you know, prevent scratching it. I'm going to use some newspaper and cover it up, because I want to keep that kind of matted black when I start doing the coats of paint. Hi there. Okay, I've skipped a few video updates for a few days, purely because it's been sanding and this. So basically what I've done is taken fiberglass resin and basically coated the inside of the helmet. I'll try and get the light in here as well. So using those sheets there that you get with this package, effectively cut them into small squares. Put resin down on the areas, sort of the actual liquid, and then place the sheets down and then go over it with the liquid again, and effectively it just sort of melts in. So I've gone all the way along the seam. Sorry about the shadowing, it's a bit shit. And all the way around the inside of the battery compartment, just to really reinforce those areas. And then on the outside, I've used this. Again, you can get that from Proper Job. If you're a Brit, you know what Proper Job's all about. It's cheap stuff which will do the job, and in this case it's done it very well. So literally I just went over and over and dusted over this this helmet with the primer. What I'm just about to do is go over it with some more 120 grit sandpaper, just to get it a little smoother. It's the finish I'm going for. You'll see when I'm complete what it looks like. I'll just try and get it out in the light a bit more, and give you guys a bit of an idea, so you can see that it's reasonably smooth. There's little areas there, these scars and whatnot. I took my Dremel and just sort of rehatched those out. You can see this little thing here probably needs a little bit more filler just to hide it, but I'm going to put a few coats of paint over it just to see if it improves matters. Anyway, we will see. Here we go. Now we're out in the light. You can see that a bit better. It's the inside of a Morrison's card, which was I used as the backing to the battery hole, and then I've just resined over it. Oops, hard to do this one-handed. And then over here, this one seems to be quite stable. What I'm doing at the moment is its first coat of matte black, and it's basically wet. What I do is try and get the finish approximately the same all over. Is I wet sand it with 120 grit and then 180 grit sandpaper, just to try and get everything looking relatively smooth. You will not get it perfect, and also when it's wet, it shows you how well you've done with your filling and your sanding and whatnot. It's not too bad. It could be better, but it's not too bad at all. So fingers crossed. This has been now sprayed with the matte black twice, and now rubbed down with the 180 grit sandpaper, purely because I dropped it right there. Good job, huh? So rubbed it down, and then I wet sanded it. That's what I did on the last one. It just smooths off the paintwork just a little bit. Ends up by looking pretty good when you apply further more coats. So that's where we are right now. It's not looking too bad, getting better. This piece that we removed earlier on, I've just dremeled that out, and basically you just place it on the inside in its location holes, there and there. Just fit it in nice and snug, then get a Sharpie and simply draw where you want to cut, and then get some balls and go and do it. You can't really go do very wrong really, because the main thing is just keeping this whole unit intact, because you're going to stretch the tights over this thing. So it's only been a few minutes, and I've just used this masking tape, and I've just taped this temporary set of tights into position, and I think that is what you're looking for. Try and get the light. Oh, a little bit of a dip there, so I'm going to try and stretch it out just to make it is kind of smooth and rounded as possible. It's you get the idea. And then when you're happy, literally you got like one side taped, and then literally get the super good glue and just start gluing it into position with the tape, and then start removing a piece of tape, and then so on and so forth. You'll get the idea. It's a little fiddly, but this whole process is. Here's another quick one with everything mounted into its position. This is just a temporary fit. Okay, and then you can see, in fact that is absolutely terrible. I'll just move towards the light without trying to kill the cat. And it's still bad, so let's go outside and give you an idea. Now, you might be a bit concerned that you can see through it, but I really wouldn't worry too much about that. There you go, you see? Nice and rounded. If I try and look through it, that's what you get. See, these tights, I think they need replacing, don't they? That's why the missus had them where she had them, and I stole them. This is the helmet. It's had 2 coats of matte black on it so far. You can just, if you're being really, really anal, you can just make out the box where the battery cover was, and there is like a line going down the side there. A few imperfections in the sides. I'm not entirely happy about that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep sticking paint on it. When you get down to the detail stage, it really does cover it all up. I found that with the last helmet that I did. It probably looks a little bit shinier than it should at the moment. It's purely because of the light. The light here is shit. So I've gone over it with a 180 grit and just about to apply another layer of black. Here we go. With its third coat on, again matte black. Just keep hitting it with matte black until you're happy. It looks quite shiny. It's not that shiny. It's just where the light's reflecting off it from the phone camera. This time I just decided just to go around the jawline with just with the same colour, just to keep things consistent. This will be sort of like sticking out at the bottom of the mask, and obviously you've got the fins here. So yeah, that's what it looks like so far. It's not much to look at yet. Like I say, I'm not entirely happy with these obvious imperfections in the mask where the two sides meet. But I think that the detailing will make a difference when you've got like the silver weathering effects and the scuffs in there. It won't detract too much from that. So a closer look at the top of the lid. This is still wet, so I've got to be a bit careful. Yeah, it's not too bad. It's looking okay. This section I have gone ahead and used like a super glue and carefully removing the bits of insulation tape and putting glue in its place. I'm going to slightly out of focus. Let's try that again. There we go. We're right up close here. Now you're only going to see a slither of this window. I went big and then glued on the edges here as well. So that's how this is done, and you'll notice it's extremely flat. Tiny little ridge there, but that is not going to notice when the other unit here, which butts up against it and pushes it nice and straight. So that's one section done. Next on the list, and there's plenty to do, is the adding the tights to the inner area, because it's black material. It can be anything. The 501st just specify black cloth or a dark material which obscures the face. Now any self-respecting costumer will have a balaclava on anyway, so I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to black masking tape it in place, and then I'm going to go around it with the glue and removing the masking tape and allowing it to dry. Now you're probably thinking, why am I doing this with it all off? It's a lot easier to do this with this particular unit off. I'm going to see what challenges I face later on, but that's how I'm going to do it for now. Okay, that's almost one side done for the netting on the inside. As you can see, a bit of insulation tape just to hold it in place, and then just glue it down. Don't be afraid, just get it stuck in there, and there you go. Here's another little test fitting. What I've done is I've screwed the filigree in the front faceplate to the mask, and it seems to fit okay. There is a little issue here, look, that I probably need to address somehow.
So bit of work still to do. I used the 3 screws in the top there, and as you can see, it's quite a nice amount of space inside. You know, looks good. Just a few little tweaks to do. Here we go. This is a original Black series. My missus bought me this for Christmas this year. No, sorry, 2016. So it feels like this year. This is one that I bought myself and converted, but only did the sort of molding together and the painting and the battle damage, etc., and the filling of the gaps. And this is the one I've just done with the new Disney Faceplate modification, and you can just see how very subtle it is. You get all those nice layers. There's 4 layers there, and there is only 1, 2 with a fake layer going on there. Wow! I improved the black masking on the eyepiece there. This one's a little further forward, and obviously this one is not screen accurate at all. So there you go. I clearly am addicted to making Kylo Ren helmets, and his lightsaber. That's another little project I did. One day I will show you how to do one of those. So there we go. I think I deserve a sit down, and I'm going to have that for my dinner. Don't worry, it's not puke, it's jacket potato with cheese. Lots of cheese. This is the finished product. I have used some matte black paint again, sprayed into a dish, using a bit of screwed up kitchen roll, and just dabbing it very lightly over the sort of lower silver area of the filigree. And you do that until you're happy with the overall sort of density of the black. I've also, again, the light's not that great here, filled in the sort of battle damage areas as best as I can. Again, trying to match it to the Novos pictures that we all know so well. If you're keen on making a helmet like this, you can see the imperfections in it slightly, but you know, to get it through the 501st, it's good enough. I'm going to make another one. I'm totally into this. I really enjoy it. I mean, a few things I could do better, I think, where the Disney mask meets the silver. I think I could probably go a bit better next time around. I think I can flare that out a bit better. I've learned a bit more since making this one. So overall, I'm really pleased with it. I'll just show you the inside of the helmet as well. That little unit there I got from America. It's actually not too bad sounding. Just flip it around. It was about £100 all told, and I've just sort of plumbed it in temporarily, using the sponge here, just to give it a nice tight fit. I'll just stick it on. Okay, not too sure how this is going to come out, but you shouldn't be able to see my my eyes. I'll just get out of the sun. We'll see. So there we go. That's it. All done, dusted. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks very much.